Oh, this lighting is atrocious. Hello, and welcome back to WaverlyReads, and welcome to another readathon, a 24-hour readathon. This is the spring edition, and I am very, very, very excited. We have about 10 minutes, 11:46 I think last time I looked. So we have about 10 minutes before we have to begin, and Tia hasn't even done a Easter egg hunt yet. I haven't even got my books out, so bear with me a sec. You know the gist of 24-hour readathons by now. I'm basically going to be vlogging the next 24 hours of my life, reading as much as I possibly can. I don't know, it's a 24-hour readathon that me and Shakira over at Shaki's Shelf, is it still Shaki's Shelf? No, looking for Shaki. That was Shaki's Shelf is a very long time ago. Host seasonally, one day every 3 months, we host a 24-hour readathon challenges to coincide with the books that we read. The first book I'm reading is Wild. These aren't in order, by the way. This isn't the first book I'm going to be reading. It's just the first book on my pile. But one of the books I'm going to be reading is Wild by April Pike, and this book is for the book with the flower on the cover. The next book I have is Skylarks by Karen Gregory. This is both the book that I'm going to read last because it was the book that I picked up, that I received, that I won in my Easter egg hunt, and also the book that spells egg on the cover because Gregory. Next book is Unspeakable by Abby Rushton. This is so floppy and I'm so excited to read this one again. This one is for the pastel colours on the cover, but you can't really tell in this lighting, but it has a very pastel greeny yellow happening, and the spine and the back are very pastel-y. Hello. And last book in my pile is It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini, and this one is the book with the author that's born in spring. I feel like I'm missing a challenge somewhere. Oh, I am. The last challenge is to read a book wearing a flower crown, so I'm probably just going to be wearing this throughout the day, and I'll eventually. So there's my little introduction. I have a tactic, a method of how I'm going to do this, so I'm going to go through that as well. This book I'm going to read, is It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. The biggest and most daunting book, and also the one that I am most nervous about. So I'm going to be reading this one first while I have the most energy, and then after that I'm going to be reading either Unspeakable if I'm not tired, but if I am tired then I'm going to read Wild because it's not a very taxing book. It doesn't hurt your brain to use it, to read it, read it, because it's a middle grade book and you can get through it very, very quickly. And then if I am tired whilst reading this, hopefully it'll boost my energy and I'll get around to reading Unspeakable. Skylarks I have to read last because of the challenge. But yeah, there is my little introduction to this vlog. We probably have like 5 minutes now, so I'm gonna go do Tia's Easter egg hunt, and then we're gonna start. 7 minutes, we have 7 minutes, and then we're gonna start reading. I am like stocked up with Relentless today because I have no energy. I'd work today. It was a difficult shift. I didn't get much sleep last night because I had a night shift and a day shift. So I'm tired. So I have energy drinks. Breaking stereotypes of drinking tea in readathons. Tia's hunt took longer than we thought, and it's now 3 minutes past, and we're all 3 minutes delayed, which means we must read until 3 minutes past 12. No.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Like I said, I'm going to be starting with It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. But the writing is quite large, and it's very floppy, and doesn't look as big as what it actually is. Hopefully it will appear like I'm flying through it. But I have a mug of tea, even though I literally just said I'm going to be drinking Relentless today. I want to save them for when I actually start to get tired. This now, I am so nervous. I've never felt this nervous for a readathon. It's strange. Greatest song in the world, isn't it? Gone 4 in the morning, and I've come upstairs to the bedroom because I felt really cramped on the chair that I was sat on. I have been reading It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini, and I'm very, very far into it. Just over 100 pages left. I'm on page 327. I want to get to page 344 before I go to sleep because I am going to sleep for this round. I'm just really, really tired from work and from lack of sleep these past few weeks anyway, so yeah. But 120 pages left. I plan to read another 20 pages before I go to sleep. It may not happen, but the readathon's been good. Shakira's already DNF'd a book, which was funny to watch. Go back and look at our Twitter page. I'll leave it in the description if I remember, about all the updates, like live updates and stuff. A lot more commonly than we're vlogging, and then we just vlog like updates and stuff like that. Only one thing I'm not too fond of in this book at the minute, and that is like the reliance on characters' love interest. I mean, kind of not a love interest, but at the same time, definitely kind of a I feel like he's really relying on her to get happiness. A lot of the time where he's just like, yeah, maybe my life is worth living, is due to her. And I don't want it to be one of those like love is the key to happiness, because it's really, that's how things work. I don't think that is exactly how it's working, but I just don't want it to be that way. Like I said, I have like 100 pages left. I already know how the story goes because I've seen the movie, although this is a lot different from the movie. It's not what I was expecting, but I'm kind of glad, because it could have been really triggering. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone who is easily triggered or is like triggered by like talk of suicide. It wouldn't be a good time for you. If you're not in the right mindset to read this book, it could really damage you. The person to become the character I'm reading whilst I read it, they definitely stick with me if it's a good character. If you're not thinking things through clearly, then it could definitely put you in a bad headspace. For now, I seem to be doing okay, because there is definitely a comedy side to this book as well. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this to anyone who is easily triggered, or to anyone that doesn't, like me, gets really involved in their characters' lives and starts thinking like the character, because it would not end well. Vlogging now, I'm going to hopefully read these 20 pages and then I'm going to sleep probably till about 8 AM. Good morning. It is about 9 o'clock. Sun is up, sunny side's up, haha. Even though it's really not sunny outside, it's actually a very, very dull day. But of course it is. Now that the spring readathon's here, the sun's decided to leave us. I'm going to get some toast before I go back to reading. I've been up since about 8, drifting back to sleep until about 6:30. So I was like to and fro from sleep for about half an hour, and then Shakira messaged me that they're awake. So I made myself get out of bed. I just went and sat with them for about 10 minutes. I read to page 347. I have less than 100 pages left in this book, and I will definitely get it finished with this hour or so, and then I'll be moving on to a different book. I'm not sure which one yet. Movement is to get some toast, maybe a cup of tea, but I may also crack open a can of Relentless because it's spamming the Readathon page now. Hi Ella.
Don't know what your love has done to me. It's got me going like I don't wanna fall. I don't wanna fall. I don't wanna fall again. And I don't wanna fall. I don't wanna fall. I don't wanna fall.
It's now about 20 to 11 and I just finished It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. I really liked it. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it too much because I'll do that in my wrap-up portion, but I did actually really like it. I'm rating it a 3.5 to 3.7 stars, 7.5 out of 5. I don't want to rate it a 4 stars because it does have some underlying issues with it, but I think that's based on like the time it was written. So just some of the premises in this, like one of the things he does is rely on the people around him to help him get better, specifically a girl that's his romantic interest, to make him feel better. That's his anchor, and he does seem to get over that in the end, and he finds that the anchor isn't people, it's instead something he finds love in doing, or himself better. There are a few bits in this book where I was like, okay, you shouldn't be saying that, don't, but for the most part it was a really good book, and I'm now going to be moving on to my next book. I don't know whether I'm more in the mood for Unspeakable by Abby Rushton or Wild by April Pike. This one because it's literally a middle grade book, and this one because I've read it before. This one is quite small though, it's like 260 odd pages, 270 5. It really won't take me too long to read it. I've read it before and I know that I liked it. I'd like to see how my opinions have differed. I think I may go for this one because it's kind of a funny story, has like major themes of mental health, and this one kind of also has themes of mental health in it, like she's mute, she's anxious, I think she like has PTSD as well. I think I may go for this one just to stick with the mental health theme, and then I'll go for Wild to like give myself a little happiness. If I get a chance, which I probably will because these two are going to be really quick reads, I will start Skylarks, which I'm a bit nervous about. A bit of gay rep anyway. I think I just decided on this apparently. What about Abby Rushton is next? I love this cover, it's so pretty. Now that it's daytime, you can see the pastel on the cover. Also natural lighting really woken me up and I have so much more energy. Why did I never sleep in the past readathons? Because it's like boosted me and I'm actually ahead of where I normally am. I've read 444 pages so far. That's great. I'm almost halfway through the readathon though, so maybe I'm not as far as I normally am, but whereas normally I'd sleep for like half an hour. Yeah. I'm gonna get back to reading now. Shakira's almost done with her sprint, so I'm gonna have to start mine soon. I've also just realised that the flower crown really goes with this cover. It's cute. Now about 10 to 12 and I started reading Unspeakable by Abby Rushton. I'm on page 52. I'm in the middle of a chapter because I'm currently hosting Twins over on our Twitter. Twins? Sprints over on our Twitter. And I just did the first one. It was only a short 10-minute one. I'm trying to interact more as well, not just saying read from here to here. I'm trying to like say, send me a picture of your current read. How many pages did you read? I read 17 pages in the 10-minute sprint I did. I'm probably going to start another one at 5:02 for 20 minutes to 1:15. At 1:30, I think I'm doing a 2-hour one apparently. At 1:30 I'll do a half an hour sprint as well. No, that's an hour and a half, isn't it? Yeah, so if I go to 1 o'clock, I'll have done an hour and a half session. An hour and a half session, and then you can start again at 2 if you want. So yeah, that's the plan. At 1:15 I'm going to... No. What did I just say? It's about 10 to 3 now and I finished reading Unspeakable by Abby Rushton about 10 or so minutes to go, and I forgot how much I love this book, and that was one of the main reasons I definitely wanted to reread it, because I just couldn't really remember. I remembered obviously what the book was about, but I couldn't remember how it made me feel whilst I was reading it. I ship these two so much. They are adorable and I love this book like insane amount. It made my favourite shelf when I read it for the first time. In the first booktubeathon I ever took part in actually. Wow, that was like 2-3 years ago. But I loved it so much again the second time round. There were a few things I noticed and I was like, like what? I did not pick up on that last time. And again, comments that I wouldn't enjoy reading in today's day and age. 2015. So 4 years ago. A lot of stuff has come out in the past couple of years people didn't really speak about back then, so that may be one of the reasons why I didn't really blink an eye last time I read it. But things in this that I was not angry about, but a bit like okay. But yeah, I finished this now. My next read is going to be Wild. Shakira's sprint started 1:30 and it's now about 10:02, so like I said, I finished it about 10 minutes ago. So I kind of took part in the first sprint, but I'm going to give myself a few minutes break. I'm not sure when's your next sprint start? 5 minutes, yeah. I'm going to give myself a 5-minute break. Maybe get a snack. Be starting Wild in the next sprint. Which is this one, which matches my flower crown. It doesn't really. My blue's a lot lighter, but it's the only blue they had. Like, they only had light blue. Are you reading yours next? Yeah, you're reading the second one whilst I'm reading the third one. Yeah. Have you read the second one before?
Yeah.
Have you read this one? No, of course you haven't.
I haven't got that far. I don't remember a lot of what happens in that
Yeah, that's my issue as well at the minute. I don't really remember much of spells. I remember wings because I've read it like 20 million times.
Same.
But I don't remember much about spells,
Yeah.
so if you could like feed me in what's going on whilst you're reading, that'd be great. In case you didn't grasp that concept. That person over... I had to get closer there. This person here, thank you Shakira, is going to be reading the second book in the Wings. I keep going to say trilogy because I'm on the third book series because there's like 5 of them. Excited. I love these books so much.
I don't wanna fall again, and I don't wanna fall. I don't wanna fall.
It is about 20 past 6 and I haven't vlogged in a while because I'm still reading Wild by April Pike. It's taken me so long to read and it's really bugging me because I know that it's not the book's fault, it's just me not reading quickly. In the middle of a chapter again. I'm on page 333, actually that's really satisfying. But dinner is done and I'm going to sit here and eat and hopefully this will give me a bit more energy and I'll be able to speed up my reading again and actually get a decent amount done. I'm kind of predicting this book like all the way through and it's really frustrating me. Tam and I is really frustrating me, David's really frustrating me, this new girl's really frustrating me. No one trusts her, but she's innocent. No, you have her point of view as well.
Oh, okay.
She's innocent, choosing everybody, everyone's pissed off at everybody. And this book is very romance based and usually they're not romance based, usually they're quite action based, story based. This one is very romance based. Really bugging me. I have about 110-ish pages. I'm gonna finish this. I plan to get it finished by, what time is it here?
6:35.
I plan to get it finished by 8. That gives me an hour and a half to read 110 pages and I know I can do that. I usually read about 100 pages in an hour, so if I can't do an hour and a half, if I can't do it in an hour and a half, then I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm only gonna have 4 hours left of the readathon to read it. About 7:30 and I finally finished Wild by April Pike. I almost said Stephanie Meyer. What? April Pike, I assure you, Stephanie Meyer would not write something like this. I've just been and ahhing about what to rate it. It's definitely not a 4. 4 is a very, very generous rating. 3 is too low, so I've put it on a 3 for Goodreads for now. It's probably between a 3.5, I don't know. It's like 3.25 to 3.5. It wasn't that great. It was very romance based and I didn't enjoy that because the first 2 books, although definitely had the romance in it and had the love triangle in it and had all of that drama in it, had other things to focus on. This one I feel like just didn't. They just added in another character and made it a love square, but not really because it's the girls in the centre. So I opened this and I was just kind of like, no, I don't want to read this because the font is very, very small and it's over 300 pages and I now probably only have about 4 hours to do it. It's about 8 o'clock now. I've only got about 4 hours. I don't want to risk it. I kind of just don't want to do it. I looked at it and my mind just went no. Technically I'm failing the Easter egg hunt challenge because I've decided to not read Skylark. That was what it was. But in my head, me swapping Skylarks, if I just wrote down the book that I'm choosing now, it would still have ended up the last book because it would have been in the same place as Skylarks, and if I'd wrote down a different book instead of Skylarks it would have been that book anyway. So I've decided to go with George by Alex Gino. This has a lot of G's and a lot of E's and it's still gay, so that's completely okay. It's got a lot bigger font, you can tell just by me doing that, and it only has 215 pages. I feel a lot better about. I think I can get through this a lot quicker than what I would be able to get through this. Obviously it's got less pages and it's got bigger font, so this one I'm going to put off for now and toss over there, and I'm going to read this one instead, courtesy of Shakira. Thank you. It was this or The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games though is a thick book. I've read it 1,001 times before and I could fly through it, but I wanted to read something new because I've already done a reread for this readathon, so I picked up George and it was between this and Gossip Girl. Yeah, this one for obvious reasons. Gossip Girl kind of intimidates me. I don't know if I'd like it. Apparently I would, but yeah, I'm now going to sit down and read this. it's finally time for me to film my wrap-up portion of this vlog. It's actually Tuesday. I didn't get the time to do it yesterday as I woke up quite late, having filmed at 2 o'clock in the morning here in Shakira's, the day of the readathon. I don't know why we decided to do that. We had no energy come like 10 o'clock, and then suddenly at 1 o'clock in the morning we were filming 2 videos. So that's a thing. I slept in Monday morning. I think I slept until like 11:30. And then I was out of the house by 12:30, give or take, 1:45. And then I came here and I got everything ready for work, and then I went to work. And this is the first chance I've had to actually film the wrap-up portion of this vlog. I'm actually quite sad because I don't own one of the books I read, which is very, very saddening. These are 3 of the 4 books that I managed to finish reading in the space of 24 hours. And the 4th one is Shakira's. The first book I read was It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. It's a 3.5 stars out of 5. I've got hiccups now. It follows a boy named Craig who deals with suicidal thoughts and tendencies. He's depressed and he's just not in a very good headspace. He self-admits himself into the hospital where he can get help for how he is feeling, and it's just basically his story of not getting over but like coming to terms with it and learning other ways and other methods of getting himself through depression. He was on antidepressants, he stopped taking them, and then suddenly he got hit with all these suicidal thoughts and then admitted himself. Give this a 3.5 star. It would have been a 4 if it weren't for the fact that it was very based on the girl, the romantic interest making him happy. I really didn't like that, and I wished he could like come to terms and find out that he is his own anchor. He is the only one who can stop himself from feeling this way. For the fact that he was heavily reliant on the people around him, especially his romantic interest, then it would have been a 4 star. And this was the book for the author born in spring. I remember when his birthday is. I'll put it on screen if I can remember to do that whilst editing. The next book I read was Unspeakable by Abby Rushton, and this is the book for pastel colours on the cover because green yellow bit here, and then the side and the back is pretty much all pastel. This was also a reread for me. I read this a couple of years ago in the first booktubeathon I ever took part in, and I love it now. I rated it a 4 star. I'm not sure, I think I said a little bit lower in the blog, like actual blog, but my Goodreads says it's a 5 star because it's a favourite of mine, and it says 4.6 star in the review that I wrote for the booktubeathon. But I've decided to rate it a 4 star. Like for this readathon, the second time around reading it, I think it's around a 4 star. Follows a girl named Megan who doesn't speak. She is a mute, and she's become a mute because once she witnessed her friend die, her best friend die. It's been about 7 months since that event, and she's not spoken for those 7 months, and then this new girl moves to her school and starts speaking to her, becomes her friend, but she starts realising that she has these feelings for her friend, and it's a little gay and it's a little adventure and it's a little mystery, and I love this book so much. The third book I read was Wild by April Pike, and I rated this one a 3.5 stars, and obviously this was the book with the flower on the cover, and it was also the one with the flower crown, like I bought the flower crown for. However, I just kind of wore it on and off all day, and this book seemed to take the longest, which makes sense because it came in at 446 pages. So it was my longest book by 2 pages. It took me about 4 hours to read, and on average I read about 100 pages per minute. I wish it was per minute. That would be like physically impossible. On average it takes me about an hour to read 100 pages, so I was really actually on track. It just felt like it was dragging. I think my energy was depleting, and that was why. So I didn't enjoy this as much as I would if I hadn't read it in a readathon, which is really unfortunate because I thought this would be a really easy read for me to get through, because I love the story. I like this story, which is why it got a 3.5 star. I just feel like, unlike the other 2, this one was solely based on the romance and there wasn't much else happening, which was really unfortunate. The love triangle in it, like, very prominently. There is in Wings and Spells as well, but this one was very, very prominent. And it came to surface, kind of like it does in Eclipse actually. That's when the 3rd book seems to be when love triangles become very prominent. I can't tell you what this one is about because it's the 3rd book in a series, but I can tell you about the first one, which is a girl named Laurel. One day wakes up with this flower sprouting out of her back, and she finds out that she is a fairy, and the house it's on belongs to the Fae, and she has to convince her parents not to sell it because it belongs to the Fae, and trolls are after buying it to get into the land of Fae and cause a war between the Fae and the trolls. They're coming to terms with the fact that she's actually a fairy. I didn't do that justice, but yeah, there's that. And then the last book I read, which I don't own because it's Shakira's, like I said, is George. I can't remember the author, but this is a very, very short book that I read because I was going to be reading Skylarks by Karen Gregory because it was for the challenge of egg, spell egg on the cover, and I didn't end up reading Skylarks because the writing was very, very small and the book was 340 pages long, I think, and I had 4 hours left and I didn't want to push it. So I had a look around at Tia and Shakira's bookshelves and I decided on George. Very, very short. It was also LGBTQ+, which I think that's what I'm in the mood for at the minute because I'm currently reading Skylarks. It's about lesbians. This George is about a little girl who's about 10 years old. It's a middle grade novel who was born a boy and she doesn't feel comfortable being a boy, and it's all about her trying to get the role of Charlotte in Charlotte's Web, and everyone's telling her that she can't do it because she is a boy and boys can't play girls. I found myself like anxious towards the end. My stomach had loads of butterflies in it because I wanted the play to go well. Me all fluttery inside, and 10-year-olds can just take it on and be like, okay, so you don't want to be a boy, you want to be a girl, cool, that's fine. But none of the adults could, and it took like the entire book. But it is such a cute little book. It's very needed and very educational, I think, in the terms of the fact that it's aimed towards children. It's like, oh, people like this do exist. I rated it a 4-star, I think, and I really enjoyed it. So all in all, it's kind of a funny story. It was 44 pages long. Unspeakable was 275 pages long. Wild was 448 pages long, and George was 215 pages long. And if I've done my adding correctly, I read a grand total of 1,380 words, plus I had 4 hours of sleep. That's insane. Every single time I've done a 24-hour readathon, I've tried not to sleep. I think I get about an hour on average, maybe half an hour, and it's not intentional sleep. This readathon was intentionally sleep. Like, I decided to go upstairs around 4 o'clock and I went to sleep, and it's insane. Because I think good for me ever reading in a readathon, I think 1,380 is my record. I think one before that was like 1,200 or something. So with 4 hours of sleep, I've also read more. It just goes to show that sleep is good in readathons because it regenerates you and gives you that extra burst of energy. I'm gonna go now. I'm so proud of how this readathon went. Next reading with the seasons is probably going to be in June. We will announce it on our Twitter, which I will hopefully link in the description. I know I've said that a few times. I keep trying to remind myself. Official date and challenges and everything will be announced on our Twitter, and also I will obviously make a video as well. Thanks so much for watching this readathon vlog. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. If you took part, then comment and let me know how you did, and subscribe if you haven't already. There's a new video like this every single Thursday on this channel, a reading vlog on my vlogging channel, which is in the top line of the description. Subscribe to that as well. Every single Monday a vlog is posted on there, and that's everything I have for you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week for another video.